And good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you may be tuning in. We'd like to look at the 21st Sunday, which is Sunday coming up, which is August 27th, the last Sunday already in the month of August. How time goes so quickly. So we're looking at the Gospel of Matthew as we are this year. And we're at chapter 16, beginning with verse 13 to 20. Jesus went into the region of Caesarea Philippi and asked his disciples, "Who do people say that the Son of Man is?" They replied, "Some say John the Baptist, others Elijah, still others Jeremiah, one of the prophets." And he said to them, But who do you say that I am?" Simon Peter said in reply, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God." And Jesus said to him in reply, "Blessed are you, Simon, son of Jonah, for flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but my heavenly Father. And so I say to you, are Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of the netherworld shall not prevail against it. I will give you the keys to the kingdom of heaven. Whatever you bind on earth shall be bound in heaven. Whatever you loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven." Then he strictly ordered his disciples to tell no one that he was the Christ. Oh, interesting gospel. I know most priests, when we have this gospel, we ask people, the question is, well, who do you say Jesus is? That's sort of a standard question we ask, and we examine ourselves on that. But Jesus really shows his human side. He's realized that his mission, his life will coming too quickly to an end. And so the human side wants to know that did I accomplish what I meant to accomplish? Did people catch what I was trying to teach? Or am I a failure? I mean, did it work or not? So who do they think I am? Because I don't think Jesus is really interested in people's opinion. That's the danger sometimes, all right? You got to be careful. You can't go around worrying about people think of you if, and alter your behavior if it's, not what you wanted to hear. We live according to Christ and we know it's right. So we're not here trying to buy people's favor. And that's not Jesus is doing. We want to know, is my mission working? And so Simon answers him, But you only get to know Jesus, not by his miracles, not by his teaching, but by his death and resurrection. And so we have Jesus have the withdrawal. Of course, he withdrawal as he know the end is coming very near, and he needed all the time to be with his disciples that he can gain. Okay, I'm leaving soon. I need to, coach them up, as football coaches say. He had so much to say to them, so much to teach them, and there were many things which they could not bear, could not understand. And so he goes to Caesarea Philippi, and Caesarea Philippi is about 25 miles northeast of the Sea of Galilee. It was outside the domain of Herod Antipas, who was the ruler of Galilee, within the area of Philip the Tetrarch. The population was mainly non-Jewish, and that Jesus would have peace to teach the 12. Even though the non-Jewish, there's the advantage that they won't be harassing Jesus, trying to catch Jesus, challenge Jesus. They go about their business, so he would have that quality time with the 12. And it says to us, too, that we also need to have quality time, those who are close to us. We need to withdraw. People go on these date nights just to have time with their special person in their life. So keep that in mind as well. There's a need to withdraw away from the maddening crowd, away from the noise. And so, did anybody understand Jesus? That was the problem. So he was trying to test his disciples and find out what they believed. And so where he's at right now, it's quite interesting. There were few districts more religious, with more religious associations than Caesarea Philippi. The area was scattered with temples of the ancient Syrian Baal worship. Thompson in Land in the book enumerates no fewer than 14 such temples in the near neighborhood. It was an area with the breadth of an ancient religion was in the very atmosphere. And here is a place beneath the shadow of the ancient gods. Now here Jesus in contrast now, right? With all these temples, and here's a simple, carpenter's son who claims, right, to be the Son of God. And anyway, not only the Syrian gods had worship there, but hard by Caesarea Philippi, there rose a great hill, a deep cavern, and the cavern was to supposedly be the birthplace of the great god Pan, the god of nature. So much was Caesarea Philippi identified with that god that his original name was Panias. And to this day, the place is known as Panias. The legends of the gods of Greece gather around Caesarea Philippi. So Jesus is like the total opposite. even though the Jews, they struggled with accepting Jesus, but they're on the same, belief in the one true God. Here, it's all pagan gods. And also in Caesarea Philippi, there was a great temple of white marble built to the Godhead of Caesar. It had been built by Herod the Great. Josephus says Herod adorned the palace, which was already a very remarkable one, still further by the erection of this temple, which he dedicated to Caesar. Wow. So we see that he's definitely in competition. Here indeed is a very dramatic picture. This homeless, penniless Galilean carpenter with 12 very ordinary men around him. At the moment, the Orthodox are actually plotting and planning to destroy him as a dangerous heretic. He stands in an area littered with the temples of the Syrian gods, in a place where the ancient Greek gods looked down, in a place where the history of Israel crowded in upon the crowds of men, where the white marble splendor of the home of Caesar worship dominated the landscape and compelled the eye. Boy, which one are you going to choose? A beautiful, sparkling temple or this penniless Roman carpenter with these 12 simpletons? Anyway, this is where he asks his people, will you believe me? Will you believe me? Do you believe that expect the answer being the Son of God? He deliberately sets himself against his background, the world's religion, and all the history and their splendor, demanded to be compared with them and have the verdict gain in his favor. All right? Hopefully they would be able to do that. Now, of course, they come up with an answer. Some said Jeremiah. Jeremiah had a curious place in the expectation of the people of Israel. It was believed that before the people went into exile, Jeremiah had taken the ark and the altar of the incense of the temple and hidden them away in a lovely cave on Mount Nebo. And that before becoming the Messiah, he would return and produce them, and the glory of God would come into the people again. So that's why Jeremiah is mentioned here. It's interesting to note that each of the three Gospels had his own version of the saying of Peter. Matthew has, you are the Christ, the Son of the living God. Mark is the briefest, you are the Christ. Luke is clearest of all, you are the Christ of God. Anyway, we see there are two great truths here. We see that human categories, even the highest, are inadequate to describe Jesus Christ. You can't. And we also realize that it's a personal discovery, that each person must make that decision on their own. You don't inherit one's faith. Each one, you may have, we see that today, parents can be very faithful, the grandparents very faithful, and yet the children, not quite so. So it's a personal decision that we must make. And Jesus chose these simple apostles, and he gave them the power. Whatever you bound on earth shall be bound in heaven. Jesus, depending on these uneducated people, what a way to run a church. They trust them, and the Spirit will be upon them. So let's not be alarmed when we see the shortcomings of the church, of individuals who run the church. They're human. And somehow with Jesus began the church with these 12, he can do great things with us as well. So don't despair when things, we go through rough times, and we are right now. He's not going to abandon his church, for the gates of hell will not prevail against it. God is still with his people, and he will bring us to safety. God bless you.